Liam Jacobs had no idea where room 2B was. He didn't care either. The fluorescent hallway buzzed like a dying fly. Every door looked the same, pale, metal-framed, and slightly open, like a row of mouths waiting to be fed applesauce and medication. This wasn't how he planned to spend Saturday mornings. Volunteer hours, his guidance counselor had said. You need them if you want your GPA to mean something. So now, instead of playing Fortnite or sleeping till noon, Liam was at Silver Pines Long-Term Living, holding a crumpled slip of paper and a gift bag full of sugar-free peppermints. He stopped at a door with a hand-painted sign that read, "Welcome home, Grandpa Joe." That was the name on the paper, Joe Bradford. Room 2B. He knocked. There. No answer. Liam peeked inside. A tall, thin man sat in a recliner by the window, reading a newspaper that looked older than both of them. He had a full head of silver hair and wore a cardigan with elbow patches. His eyes flicked up. "Ben?" the man asked, squinting. Liam froze. No, Liam. I'm from—" "Ben." The man grinned. "You made it. You finally made it." Liam blinked. "Wait, I think I have the wrong—" "Sit," the man said, motioning to a chair. "Took you long enough." Liam stepped in, uncertain. "I think there's been I don't care if there's a war outside, a blizzard, or a UFO crash landing on the lawn," the man interrupted. "You're here now, and that's what matters." Liam paused. The man wasn't confused, not exactly. He looked sly, amused, and he seemed lonely. Liam exhaled. "Okay, sure, Grandpa Joe." The man smirked. "Close, I'm not Joe. That guy died 3 rooms down last week." Liam stared. "You're not?" "Name's Clarence." He extended a hand. "But for the purposes of this delightful misunderstanding, I'll be your grandpa." Liam sat slowly. "This feels illegal." "Only if you rat me out." Clarence winked. "Now, tell me something ridiculous about your generation. Something with hashtags." Outside the window, a bird landed on the feeder. The hallway buzz faded. For a strange, suspended second, Liam didn't feel like a mistake. He felt expected. And then the door creaked open. A nurse peeked in, blinking at the scene, Liam handing a peppermint to a man he clearly wasn't assigned to. She frowned. "You're not supposed to be in here." Clarence grinned. "It's my grandson. Family visit." Liam nodded. "Uh-huh. Grandpa Clarence." The nurse blinked again, then sighed. 10 minutes, she said. "Then I report it." She shut the door. Clarence leaned in. "See? This is already more exciting than bingo." Liam chuckled, against his better judgment. "You're totally going to get me kicked out." Clarence shrugged. "Some of us don't need much. Just someone to walk through the wrong door." The next week, Liam walked into Silver Pines like he owned the place. He waved at the receptionist, nodded at the nurse who'd threatened to report him, and turned left at the fish tank like he'd done it every day for years. Room 2B wasn't on the list anymore. It didn't matter. Room 2F, Clarence's room, was 3 doors down, past a bulletin board full of watercolor attempts and notices about upcoming blood pressure clinics. Liam paused at the door, adjusted his hoodie, then knocked. "Password?" came the raspy voice from inside. Fortnite?" "Acceptable." Liam opened the door. Clarence was dressed in a button-up shirt and suspenders. His room looked like a curated thrift store explosion. Model airplanes hanging from the ceiling, postcards pinned to corkboard, stacks of National Geographics, and a lava lamp glowing weakly in the corner. "Thought you weren't coming back," Clarence said. pretending not to smile. "I wasn't," Liam shrugged. "But then I thought, who's going to teach me how to cheat at poker?" Clarence chuckled and pointed to the folding table he'd dragged over from the activity room. Two mugs sat ready. One of them said, "Hash One Grandpa" in glitter paint, peeling from age. On the table was a plastic trophy. Liam raised a brow. "What's this?" "Your prize," Clarence said, "for showing up twice." "It's from a bowling league." "Yeah, I won it in '86, but I hate dusting." Liam sat, chuckling. "You really are something." Clarence took a sip from his mug. "So, what crisis are you escaping today?" Liam hesitated. "Nothing. Just parents fighting, college stuff. You know." "I do," Clarence said softly. "And I also know this isn't about the noise. It's about the quiet that comes after." Liam blinked. He hadn't said anything about the silence, but Clarence had that look again, like he saw the underlayer of people, like he could read the second sentence hiding behind every word. They played cards. Liam won. Barely. Clarence pretended to be furious and then snuck him a root beer from his closet stash. They laughed until a nurse knocked and reminded Liam his scheduled window was over. Before he left, Liam hesitated at the door. "You ever have kids?" he asked. Clarence's expression shifted like clouds gathering. "One," he said, "long time ago." "What happened?" "She grew up." Liam nodded and walked out without saying goodbye, because goodbye felt too heavy for something that had barely begun. Tuesday afternoon, the sky cracked open with summer thunder, and Liam sprinted through the rain, his hoodie soaked and sneakers squelching on the tile floor of Silver Pines. He bypassed the front desk with a wave. "Back again?" the receptionist called. "You're not on the sheet." "I'm just visiting my grandpa," Liam said, not stopping. The woman blinked. "Thought your grandpa was in 2B. "He moved," Liam lied smoothly. "Long story." Clarence's door was already open. Inside, the old man was hunched over a puzzle, a 1,000-piece scene of a lighthouse in a storm. The window rattled with wind. A jazz record played softly from an old turntable. "You brought the storm with you," Clarence said without looking up. "I brought something better," Liam said, pulling out a beat-up shoebox. "Check this out." Inside was a mess of wires, a motor, and what looked like half a toaster. "Is this a threat?" Clarence deadpanned. "It's a drone, or it will be. I'm rebuilding it for a school project. I figured you used to build model planes, right?" Clarence's eyes lit up. "Kid, if we get that thing to fly, I'll name it after you." "Deal." They spent an hour soldering, Clarence surprisingly nimble despite the arthritis. At one point, Liam burned his finger, and Clarence stuck under a cold spoon like it was instinct. "You've done this before," Liam muttered, wincing. "Had a granddaughter. Briefly," Clarence said. "What do you mean, briefly, for?" Clarence didn't answer right away. "Long story." But Liam heard it in his voice, the kind of silence that didn't want to be asked twice. At 4:15, the door burst open. A young woman in scrubs stood there frowning. "Clarence, you're late for your physio." "Oh." Her eyes landed on Liam. "You're the mix-up boy." Liam straightened. "Sorry, I was just—" "You're not on his visitor list anymore." Clarence looked up sharply. "He's with me." "I'm just saying," the nurse replied. "If admin finds out, they'll what? Confiscate his drone?" Clarence's voice was sharp, unfamiliar. The nurse blinked. Fine. 10 more minutes. Then I need you, Clarence." She closed the door with a sigh. Liam sat down again, but something had changed. "Wait," he said. "I'm not on your list." "They took you off," Clarence muttered, "after the mix-up. Said it wasn't protocol." "Why didn't you tell them I could stay?" Clarence looked at him. "Because I don't need their permission to decide who's family." Liam swallowed. "But I'm not." "You're here, aren't you?" The thunder outside cracked again. And for the first time, Liam realized he was here. Not for hours, not for credit. Just here. And that meant something. The next day, Liam brought snacks. Not just any snacks, Clarence's favorite. Cinnamon pecan cookies from the bakery 2 blocks over. They were warm, slightly burnt at the edges, and smelled like someone's grandma's kitchen in autumn. But Clarence didn't smile when Liam walked in. He was standing by the window, arms crossed. His puzzle was untouched. The drone parts were gone from the table. "What's going on?" Liam asked, suddenly uneasy. Clarence didn't turn. "There was a meeting this morning, staff meeting." "Okay." "They're watching. The head nurse said she's going to call your school." Liam's chest tightened. "What? Why?" Clarence finally turned, and his eyes looked darker than usual. "Because she doesn't think I should be seeing you." Liam's jaw clenched. "What? Why? I didn't do anything." "Exactly. But she thinks you're just some bored teenager who wandered into the wrong room and got too comfortable." "That's kind of what happened." Clarence didn't laugh. "They want you gone, kid. And if they sniff around too much, they'll find out the truth." Liam bristled. "So you want me to leave?" "No," Clarence said, voice cracking. "I want you to stay smart. For both of us." There was silence. Then Liam dropped the cookie bag on the table a little too hard. "Great. So now I'm sneaking into a care home to hang out with a guy I'm not related to." Clarence's face was unreadable. "You don't have to come." But Liam didn't move, not for a full minute. Then, "I'll find another way. They can't stop me from walking by your window." Clarence raised an eyebrow. "You gonna mime at me through the glass?" "Maybe. Maybe I'll send in messages taped to your nurse's shoe." That earned a laugh. Small, rough-edged, but real. Liam backed toward the door. "Don't count me out yet, old man." But as he left the room, he nearly slammed into Principal Morrison. She stared at him over her glasses, damp from the rain, holding a clipboard. "Liam Grant," she said. "What a surprise." Liam froze. You're not supposed to be on this floor." "I was returning something." "Mm-hmm." She looked past him, toward Clarence's room. "We'll be speaking with your school tomorrow." Liam didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt. Because of panic. Because even if Clarence wasn't technically his anything, he was becoming someone. And Liam wasn't ready to lose that. The next morning was a blur of knots in Liam's stomach and words he couldn't say aloud. At school, he barely heard his history teacher. He chewed the end of his pencil, stared at his desk, and kept glancing at the clock like it might give him permission to leave early. His hands wouldn't stop fidgeting. He felt something like guilt, but deeper, a weight behind the ribs. Because, for the first time in forever, someone looked at him and didn't see a slacker. Clarence, for all his odd gruffness and puzzle obsession, saw Liam as someone capable. And now, Liam was terrified that the school, His mom, the staff at Fernridge, would take that away. At lunch, his best friend Devin noticed something was off. "You look like a cat waiting for the vet," Devin said. "You sick?" Liam hesitated, then shook his head. "Just stuff." Devin squinted. "We skipping math?" Liam gave a weak smile. "I wish." By the time the final bell rang, Liam bolted. But he didn't go through the front gate. He ran 2 blocks out of the way, cut through a church parking lot, and came up the side street to Fernridge's garden entrance. Less chance of being seen. He crouched behind a hedge, clutching a plastic bag. Inside was something dumb, something he wasn't sure would even help. A cap, red. Clarence had once mentioned he used to wear one when working outside. "Kept my brain warm and my thoughts in," he'd said. Liam stood outside the window, the one that looked into Clarence's room. But the curtains were drawn, and his heart dropped. He crept closer, pressing a hand to the glass. No light, no shadow. He circled around the building, keeping low. The staff entrance door opened. A nurse came out, tossing a cup into the bin. Liam recognized her. It was the one who always wore sunflower earrings. And suddenly, like all the words he hadn't said all week finally burst through, he called out, "Wait!" She turned, startled. "Can I help you?" I'm looking for Clarence. Mr. Norris, room 3B. The nurse softened slightly. "Are you his grandson?" Liam blinked. "Not technically." Her eyes narrowed. I was assigned to visit someone else, but I met him by mistake, and I kept coming back. He's not really my grandpa, but we talk. He likes puzzles and drones." The nurse tilted her head. "What's your name?" "Liam Grant." She smiled. "You're the one from the clipboard." His stomach lurched. "Am I in trouble?" She shook her head. "Not from me." "Where is he?" She pointed back toward the building. "Moved to a different wing. Nothing serious. But he hasn't talked much today." Liam exhaled slowly. The knot in his chest shifted. He reached into the bag and pulled out the red cap. "Can you give this to him?" She took it gently. "He'll want to see you himself, I think." He swallowed hard. "I think I want that, too." She stepped back. "Come on, I'll pretend I didn't see you sneak in." As they walked, Liam's hands trembled. The corridor smelled like lemon polish and lavender. His shoes squeaked a little. He passed other rooms, open doors with quiet TVs and half-snoozing residents. And then she stopped. Room 12D. She knocked softly, then opened the door. Clarence sat near the window, staring outside, his hands resting still in his lap. He didn't look up until the cap was placed on his head. Then he turned and smiled. Liam stepped inside, unsure if he was supposed to talk, apologize, laugh, or cry. But Clarence simply said, "You're late." And something in Liam cracked. He laughed. It broke out of him like a sneeze and a sob all at once. He sat down hard in the chair. "I thought I got you in trouble," Liam said. Clarence shook his head. "I've been in trouble longer than you've been alive." The silence after that wasn't heavy. It felt like air finally returning. "Do you still have the puzzle?" Liam asked. Clarence nodded. "Only 5 pieces left." Liam leaned forward. "Let's finish it." And for a long time the only sounds in the room were the quiet clicks of cardboard meeting cardboard, and something softer, a warmth in the air, a bond forming not from names or blood, but from showing up. Because sometimes the most honest relationships begin with the wrong door and stay. Because no one's trying to leave. Liam sat on the bench outside room 109, elbows on knees, heart in his throat. Clarence hadn't spoken since that morning. After Miss Barlow had stormed in with her clipboard and confirmation calls, the entire place had erupted. She'd pulled Liam aside, her glasses fogged with frustration. "You've been visiting the wrong resident for 3 weeks." "I know," he'd whispered, "but he's not even your grandfather." "I know." She'd blinked. "Then why?" He couldn't answer. Now he sat in the hallway, watching nurses pass, waiting. He didn't even know what for. The door creaked open. Clarence stood there in a sweater vest, looking older than yesterday, more fragile, like someone who had finally exhaled after a long time holding something in. "You coming in or gonna sulk all day out here?" Liam looked up, surprised. "You're not mad?" Clarence scratched his head. "Mad? Kid, I'm not sure I've got the energy for mad." Liam stepped inside. The room smelled like lemon polish and old paper. On the dresser sat a row of dominoes, perfectly aligned. Clarence sat on the edge of the bed. "So, want to know the real story?" Liam nodded. "I had a daughter," Clarence said slowly, like he hadn't said those words in years. "Her name was June. She had my nose and her mother's fire. Smart kid. Too smart for me." He smiled for a second, then looked away. "She left when she was 23. Got a job in Boston. Sent cards." I sent silence. "Why?" Liam asked. Clarence shrugged. "I wasn't a good father. I thought giving space was the same as giving care. I never said I was proud. Never said I missed her." He paused. "And when I finally tried, she'd stopped waiting." Liam said nothing. There wasn't anything to say. "I told myself I didn't have family anymore," Clarence went on, voice low. "That it was easier to forget. But then you showed up. And I saw what it could have been. Not the same, but close. Close enough to remember." Liam's throat tightened. "You never said any of that." "I didn't think you'd believe it or want it." "I came back every day," Liam said, "even after I knew." Clarence looked at him, and for the first time, Liam saw something behind the sarcasm and the stubborn chin. Regret, folded like an old receipt, and something else, a hope that looked too fragile to name. "I may not have a daughter now," Clarence said, "but I've got this. 3 weeks with a kid who didn't owe me a thing. That counts." Liam pulled something from his pocket, a little carved wood piece. The knight from the chess set Clarence had let him use the second week. "I fixed his bass," Liam said. "You kept wobbling him." Clarence chuckled, the sound deep and soft. "So you did." They sat in silence a while longer. Finally, Clarence said, "You hungry?" "Always." "There's a vending machine downstairs that still owes me a sandwich. I say we stage a heist." Liam grinned. "Deal, but I'm not climbing through any vents." As they left the room together, side by side, Liam glanced back once. The room was just a room, but it had held something rare, not family by blood, but by accident, and maybe that was stronger. Down the hallway, Miss Barlow watched them go. She didn't stop them. She just wrote a quiet note in her logbook. "Clarence Delaney, visitor unrelated, but maybe important." 2 weeks later, the senior center received an invitation from Westbrook Middle School. Community Voices Day. Stories that matter. Each student had been asked to invite someone who made a difference in their lives. Most kids brought parents, teachers, coaches. Liam requested Clarence Delaney. He hadn't asked permission. He just filled out the form, handed it in, and crossed his fingers. On the day of the event, Liam paced backstage in a blazer that didn't fit right and shoes that clicked too loud on the linoleum. His note cards were damp from his hands. He couldn't see if Clarence had come. Then the doors opened. There he was, wearing a new tie, still had the price tag, sitting stiffly in the back row next to Miss Barlow, who looked both confused and deeply entertained. Liam stepped up to the microphone. The spotlight was too bright. His heartbeat was a drum. "My name is Liam Carter," he began, "and the person I want to tell you about is someone I met by mistake." A few people chuckled. "I walked into the wrong room," Liam continued, "but the person inside didn't ask me to leave. He said, 'Took you long enough,' and I stayed." He paused. "He's not my grandpa, but he's the only one who ever taught me how to play chess, how to win arguments with your eyes, and how to tell someone you're proud of them without saying it." He swallowed hard. "And he reminded me that sometimes the best people in your life don't come with a label. They come with time, and they stay, even when they don't have to." There was a silence in the auditorium that felt like gravity. Then someone clapped. Then everyone did. Clarence didn't stand, but he touched the edge of his chair like it was grounding him. His eyes were glassy. Miss Barlow passed him a tissue without a word. After the assembly, students mingled with guests. Some asked Clarence if he was a retired professor. Others assumed he was a family friend. He just said, "I'm someone who showed up." Later, as they sat on the curb with 2 melting ice creams, Liam asked, "Do you think June would have liked this story?" Clarence looked into the sky. "I think she would have liked you." Liam smiled. "Even though I'm not related?" Clarence turned. "Kid, you're the best wrong turn I've ever made." They sat in silence for a while, watching cars go by, dripping mint chip and raspberry onto their shoes. And for the first time in a long time, Clarence didn't feel like a man at the end of his story. He felt like someone still in the middle, with a new chapter. Have you ever met someone by accident and they ended up changing your life? Share your own wrong person, right moment stories in the comments.